Last orders at the bar!
A night in with Mauler and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen thinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop off the cork, have a glass of wine, I'll feel safe, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, Mauler and the critical drinker.
Well, I believe that's our cue, Mauler. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Open Bar Last Orders. We're getting in the last few drinks before we will venture out into the night and stagger off home. But that means we got some super chats to answer from Open Bar 134. So we're going to dive right into it and see if we can answer your questions.
What has everyone got to say?
Well, the first one here is from Micah Gussler, who says, Jeffrey Rush has confirmed in an article on MovieWeb that him and Pirates producer Bruckheimer have discussed ways of bringing Barbossa back and hinted at the possibility of Johnny Depp and the OG crew returning for Pirates 6. What's your thoughts?
So, like, genuinely, with everything, I'd be like, rather not. I'd rather just keep it all as it is and not move on. But on the other hand, it would be nice to give Johnny Depp the chance to play him one more time or something like that, you know?
Yeah. If it's the OG crew and we can get Bruckheimer back on board, I'd be up for it. I'd
give it a shot for sure.
Yeah, I'm up for that. He also says, second playthrough of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and I have to say it's one of the best games I've ever played. Warhouse has done a magnificent job. Choices actually matter in this game. Glad it sold over 2 million copies and embarrassed that Gunnergate for trying to cancel it. So I don't know too much about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I know the first game was really well regarded. Yeah,
I can't help you on that, really. Az could maybe talk about it, but I saw he's been streaming it a bit. That's all I know.
I'd be up for playing it for sure because I'm kind of looking for a new single player game to get my teeth into. So maybe that's the way to go. 2% Right says Mooper, also known as Mauler, I guess.
Yes.
3 eras since Gelb. We must question the erection of the trapezoidal facets of the red car law and how that impacts Elon Musk's time ship. This April, return. The sound design is incredible. Signed H. Crimblebottom.
I mean, I've said there's no reason why Gelb would never return, but it's like it really did. I've told you before, when I first made it, it had a goal to make fun of the way video essays were made. And in the course of the 5, I think, that were made, so 5 years, it only got significantly worse. Yeah. To the point where, like, it's not even far away from just how video essays work these days. So I was just like, well, I don't know, it kind of completed its course, you know? Like, it did its job. It made fun of the clowns, and the clowns got crazier. So I don't know. So maybe one day, if I can find another avenue that I want to explore with it, but yeah.
I think my favorite line from it is just every so often you'll just sprinkle in like, but the production design was incredible.
Oh, it was so much fun, like writing some of them because they would all just be taken from videos we were having on EFAB, just random shit, and just randomly appealing to some ancient quote from some guy in the middle of nowhere, just being like, "This guy said this." All right, anyway,
moving on. Deval says, if you haven't yet, check out Formula One movie trailer with Brad Pitt that came out today. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it. The movie is from the same creator and director of Top Gun Maverick. Yeah, this has been in the works for ages. So Brad Pitt in an F1 movie. I'd watch it.
Sure.
I mean, if he's playing a driver, like Brad Pitt is like 60 years old. Like, I hate to say it, man, F1 drivers are usually not old men. You know, the reality, unfortunately, is your reaction time starts to degrade quite considerably after like 40.
He will convince you that he is a young man.
Sure. Yeah, let's go with that.
But anyway, put the goo on his face and stretch out all the wrinkles.
Ah, the young goo.
Yes.
Jordan Pendragon says, in 2008, the American Film Institute ranked Snow White as the #1 greatest animated film of all time. It was the first, and in some ways, it's still on top. That's neat. I could get behind that. It's a timeless classic.
You know, I'll be giving it a rewatch ahead of the new Snow White, and I had rewatched it about half a year ago or so. It is a really good film, and the animation is, when you know when it was made, you're kind of like, fucking hell.
Yeah,
That's
like
cool.
how did they do that? They did motion capture.
They did it the hard way, I guess.
Yes, but they made it work, and gosh,
Mhm.
there's something to be said for that. It's just gorgeous, the fact that they did it. Deza says, Drinker, can you please get Esther Krauke or Krakui on when Snow White releases? She's hilarious and insightful. Love seeing you guys. Please, plus Gary on the Piers Morgan show. Yeah, so I'd love to have Esther on the channel. Obviously, she's a pretty like major media personality, so I can't just like summon her and expect her to just come when I tell her to. But yeah, if she was willing to come and open bar someday, that would be great. No, we'll see what we can do. But she is, yes, very interesting to talk to. Jan Javi says, Hi, Drinker. A more superficial complaint of Snow White is her hair. Who styled it? Why is it like that? Who thought it was a good idea? You don't have to understand fashion to know that it looks terrible. I mean, I guess they were just imitating the cartoon, the original one. Like, it's that same kind of shoulder length, I don't know, like middle party thing that she's got going on. It's mirroring the cartoon.
I think it's fair to say as well, it's just that there are just some things that when translating it to live action just don't have the same impact as they do in another medium. That's just how it goes.
Like Flounder, you mean?
Fuck yes, like that. Jesus. There's lots of things that are like that. But I mean, one of the more conventional ones is, they say sometimes that Lovecraft can never be in live action. It can never be seen because like that's part of its point is that it's like inconceivable. How do you portray that as something conceivable? Which is like a really interesting way to like a problem to overcome in live action. But in the same vein, like you said, realistic animals is like no. Like there's so many creepy examples. Even something like MODOK, right? If they had gotten him one-to-one,
God, why did you have to bring up MODOK?
If he was like his comic design, I still don't know that it would have worked as well as hoped. Let's just put it that way. It's
but like we got the worst,
yeah, we got the worst
of every like multiverse, like this fucking like photoshopped monstrosity, just a giant face. Jesus.
Yeah.
Somebody says, anyone here watch Invincible season 3? I haven't yet. People have asked me about it many times, and I will watch it. Jeremy Soden says, Hi, Mublishy. Just started playing Dark Souls. Wow, not much of a gamer though, so I think this is going to be requiring a lot of patience.
Yeah, that's the fun journey that Dark Souls offers. You'll get better and better and better, don't you worry.
I mean, fun is a stretch, but yeah, it's a journey for sure.
A little bit.
Dwarmer says, Snapio L. Jackson, Silv her, surf her, crapped in America, big new turds. Love you, Mauler and Drinker. Keep up the great work. What you do is important. Thank you, man.
Well,
appreciate that. Grant says, what is your top 3 worst race swaps in media? That's a good question, actually. Well, Don Lemonlass in Rings of Power is probably up there.
Snape.
That seems to be
hilariously stupid one.
Halle Bailey from Little Mermaid, and Rachel Zegler from Snow White. I think they're all pretty egregious.
I suppose another interesting question is what do you think is the best one?
Well, I think a lot of people would probably point to Samuel L. Jackson as
Nick Fury.
Yeah. Well, up until Captain Marvel, anyway.
I was about to say, yeah, there's a sell by day on that. We're at Kingpin, 2003, Daredevil.
Yeah, I actually like. I think partly it's just I fucking love Michael Clark Duncan as an actor, and I'm just kind of like willing to watch him play anything almost. But like when you're looking for someone with the sheer mass to play Kingpin, like that guy's going to be a pretty strong contender, isn't he?
Yeah,
because he's so huge.
We're talking about it on Real BBC. He has got the build. Like you're looking through actors, it's like, well, he's got that, and he's pretty popular, and we know he can handle the roles. Like that one makes a lot of sense. I could see how they got there.
Yeah. And to see him play a more like obviously a very physically imposing character, but also quite a cerebral character as well. I like that. It stretched him as an actor a little bit, and it played against the type that he normally played. So I kind of was okay with that, actually. Yeah, I was all right with that.
Have you seen the director's cut?
No.
They cut out scenes where like I hadn't seen it before. I only watched it recently because of all the Daredevil stuff. Like in his intro scene, he mentions that he's basically being like fucked over by one of the members of his company. He gets really mad, like Vincent D'Onofrio levels of mad, and grabs one of his henchmen and crushes his throat while lifting him up a wall. I was like, what the fuck? I don't remember this at all. And I was like,
Yeah.
he's like screaming. He's making a fucking full-on face that I don't even think I've seen Michael Clarke Duncan make before. I was just like, oh shit, I never knew this was in it. And it's kind of cool because now you know it's like, oh, they were including the unhinged part of Kingpin in the 2003 movie too, but it got cut from the theatrical one anyway.
Oh man, what a bummer. There was potential there. There really was.
I quite like the director's cut. I think it's a solid movie.
And I didn't even hate Ben Affleck as Matt Murdock.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think there was again potential there. He's a good actor. He just like the script kind of let him down on this one. Yeah, interesting. Next one is Bisected Tuscan Raider Child says, watching Matt out White Tiger in court after his shitty defense fails is one of the most wild character assassinations that I've ever seen. Fuck this show. I mean, it's tough to argue with that, actually. Mm-hmm. Christian Slater says, gents, what are your thoughts on Danny Boyle's movie Sunshine? Cillian Murphy in a great sci-fi. Some love it, most have never heard of it. I liked it, yeah. I thought it was a pretty decent movie.
Yeah, I need to rewatch it, but I've only remember it. I remember it being impactful, which is kind of a funny thing to remember of everything in it.
Yeah,
like, I remember once the Flashy Man showed up. My memory goes foggy.
Yeah, it's the scene like where he grabs his arm and like literally like pulls the skin off it because it's all burned and shit. It's like there's some gruesome stuff right there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of goes into like really like existential horror and philosophy and stuff. Like there's a lot of deep stuff that this movie tries to explore, which is it's pretty neat for a movie like this. Yeah, I quite like Sunshine. Anyway, next one is Toilet Seat Belt says, dude, Andor 2 is going to suck. I just know it's Arcane was a wipe, so why even hope?
Well, I mean, they're made by completely different people, for one. I know it's Disney, but at the same time, you know, it's the same people who made Andor Season 1, so give it a little bit of hope, tiny bit, a little spark.
Yeah, I think it's almost going to be irrelevant whether it's good or bad. I just don't think many people are going to watch it, sadly.
Yeah, I hope I get some enjoyment out of it, but I don't think it's going to move the needle in any way across anything. If it were a great show, I just don't think it's going to matter to the broad conversation.
Yeah. Chikorita says, Mauler, I've never felt so connected to you as I do now. These are literally not enough hours in the day to keep up with all the YouTube channels that I follow, let alone try new shows and movies.
Oh, do they mean just because I'm falling behind on staying up with stuff as well? Because it's
maybe
it can be tough.
Yeah. Guitars and Death Stars says, Hail Drinker and Mauler, off-topic random hot take. I don't get the hype for Top Gun Maverick. It's literally just Luke Skywalker teaching the rebels how to do the trench run in A New Hope. Thoughts? It's so much more than that, you son of a bitch. I think as a basic premise, like that obviously describes the plot of it, but like this is a pretty decent exploration of what it means to be an aging hero, but still like committed to doing the job and still believing that you can do it, and ultimately being the guy who people have to rely on. Like the idea that there is something that the older generation can impart to the younger ones, like for all their like new technology, for all their enthusiasm and strength and vitality and stuff. There's something that they can learn from other people, and I think that's a decent thing to explore with Top Gun Maverick. It's definitely fan service, and it's definitely calling upon the old nostalgia, but I don't mind because I think it does it with enough panache and enough style that it makes it work. So
it's a good assessment.
That would be my thoughts on the movie. John Hansen says, agree with Mauler's takes on Born Again, but still foolishly holding out hope for the series to improve and maybe even rebound. The Thing 1982 is goated. I don't know why that. I don't know why that connects to the rest of it, but sure, yeah.
I mean, we can't expect it to be fixed up until, from what I've heard, episode 7. So 4, 5, 6 are still. We should be expecting not to be great. Got to keep everything in mind, right? Like D'Onofrio and Cox said, they wanted things changed, and they had to keep many episodes in that very production that those two said needed changing.
I don't know why it made me laugh there, but the moment you said D'Onofrio and Cox, it just made me think of like some kind of porn movie or something. Anyway,
We're very adult here.
I know, fucking hell, that's the tone of Wolf and Bar right here.
But I've said on several streams, if the next few episodes are good, then so be it. Sure, I'll give them that. I don't have great hopes right now.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Wickerman says, in your Oscar vid, you called Ukraine the Ukraine. Was this a joke, or does this reflect your actual views? I don't know what that even means. Like, I guess it was just like a slip of the tongue or something. I don't know. I never even thought about it. Like, for me, like Ukraine and the Ukraine are just like interchangeable. I don't know. Like, is there a difference? Not sure. But yeah, there was no like political angle to that. It was literally just me saying stuff. Rimmed says, "Hi, Mauler and Drinker. Have you seen Neon Genesis Evangelion, a roller coaster of action and drama and comedy and mechas? The complete series is on Netflix and the movie's on Prime. Have you seen it? I haven't.
No.
Okay. Well, yeah. Sorry, we haven't seen it. Yeah, that could be my next thing to move on to now that I've, finished up with Attack on Titan. Hostile Hippie says, "What is a drinker membership and how do I get one?" Well, you can just join as a member on the Critical Drinker main channel. Just click on the membership button and you can join at whatever tier you feel comfortable with. And you get to take part in exclusive live streams and that sort of thing with me. So see what you think. Dr. Manzoor says, how would you guys categorize a guilty pleasure movie?
One that maybe you consider to be pretty bad, but that you are enjoying on a level that's not just laughing at it. And I know a lot of people's instinct is to say, like, there's nothing to feel guilty about. It's like, try not to think of it that way. It's more like you are guilty of taking pleasure in a story that you know doesn't work, but that you're filling in the gaps for it because you want to. Like, and you know that, and you know you're doing it, but it's okay, and that's okay. If you're aware of it, it's totally fine.
Yeah, I think it's where the experience takes priority over the the logic of like making a plot that fits together properly.
An example I might use, don't know if you'll agree on this or not, but from last I watched it, it's been a while, so I'd have to rewatch it to know if this still works. But I remember thinking, like, being kind of invested in several of the dramatic payoffs in Armageddon, even though that movie is a clown film.
Yes.
Like, if I was to argue, like, I felt something when Bruce Willis like fucks up his supply and tosses him into the elevator, sacrificed himself. So I was like, but the movie's retarded. They shouldn't even be there. I'd be like, yeah.
I think it's that's a perfect example, and I've cited Armageddon many times as like one of my guilty pleasures, where it's like I recognize that the plot is dumb as fuck, but like the stakes matter and the characters matter, and I care when people die in it. And I think there's, the emotional impact still can work even if the script is a bit hokey and silly. So I don't know. I think a lot of the sort of Michael Bay movies might fall into that category of guilty pleasures, where like they take themselves just seriously enough to actually make you care about them. I think that's okay.
Remember the Bad Boys 2 sequence where the camera's spinning around the room?
Yeah,
they're on the other side of the wall. Like, I just remember being engrossed with that as an action scene, and it'd be like, I don't know, if someone said like, "Who's Michael Bay?" I'd be like, "Yeah, fuck it, he's good at his shit when he's good at his shit."
This is the thing. Like, I will defend Michael Bay in this regard, where it's like he often he's the purveyor of like fairly dumb action movies for the most part, but he has a lot of visual flair as a director, and I think that's something that is worth recognizing. Like, if I was to pick him and say someone like J.J. Abrams, which is probably at the same level of skill, but like I think Michael Bay has like got way more flair artistically as a director than J.J. Abrams ever did.
Yeah, and I think Bay's films age better too, especially the ones with like the hyper physical shit.
Yeah.
Like that, Bad Boys 2 has got some crazy action in it. Like, really awesome shit.
Yep. No, absolutely. Next one is KCM Sturpiece says, you guys just don't give Zegler enough credit. Starts with a Spielberg film, and 4 years later is one of the most talked about names in all of Hollywood. Who else accomplishes such heights so fast? I mean, yeah, sure. People are talking about her. Maybe not for the reason she wanted, but yeah.
Didn't the movie she was in for Spielberg flopped, right?
Yes.
So
West Side Story, yeah.
yeah, that was it. I mean, she just feels like she's the perfect example of she's succeeding for reasons other than her talent.
Yeah, I mean, succeeding again is a stretch. But yeah, she's now, I think her big thing after this movie is going to be Evita. So she's going to be doing a stage production of that. And people are acting like that's a major upgrade for her, or like failing upwards or whatever. It's like you've gone from like A-list movies to a stage show. You know, even if it's prestigious, it's not the same. It's kind of like how Brie Larson is now performing in the West End in London and getting shit reviews because nobody wants her in actual movies.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
have you seen the rumors of the Godot and her relationship to the point where she just wants? I think I remember reading something like she wants nothing more to do with like the promote. She wants it to be simple. Gal does. She just wants it to be like, hey, look, movie, woohoo, and move on with her life. And it's apparently just like getting more and more annoyed with how complicated everything's getting with the other comments being made.
Yeah, I can totally get behind that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because I think Gal Gadot is now the centerpiece of the promo for this movie.
It does seem to have moved that way, doesn't it?
It's kind of like, well, let's get someone who's pretty and like doesn't say things that are too controversial. Is a bit more like seasoned when it comes to like doing media stuff. Like, well,
yeah, it like
that's her.
Inevitably she's going to be better at. It's funny saying better. I'm sure Zegler would be like, it's important that I speak about certain. And he's like, yeah.
Actually, it's more important that you shut the fuck up right now.
Well, I mean, it'll have consequences, right? Like knowing that about her will depend on whether or not she's cast in future. That's what a lot of actors are aware of.
Yeah.
And then there's the other angle, of course, that's more of Ricky Gervais tact, which is just like, what the fuck do you have to say about all these issues? What the fuck do you even know? Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, I think that's the majority opinion, really. Master of Puppets says, been replaying God of War Ragnarok while listening to EFAP coverage of Synthetic Man. I nearly died of secondhand cringe. Can't believe people like him really exist. Been using the spear a lot more. Lots of fun.
That was an 11-hour adventure. The Synthetic Man episode. Good times.
I love how it's like tied in with something completely unrelated. It's like, I'm going to talk about God of War Ragnarok and my thoughts about the weapons while also talking about you and Synthetic Man. It's like,
well,
okay.
It happened because, as you know, there's like a handful of projects that hit the borderline on whether or not the culture war decides to talk about them. And some of them get talked about when they really have nothing to do with anything. They're just a project that's solid. Like, there's no reason for it to be talked about in the sense of, like, is it pro or against us? Like, both teams discussing this sort of thing. And it's just like, it's got nothing on it. And so it got decided by some people, like Synthetic Man early on, that this was an enemy of the people, this game.
Right. Yeah.
Much like Dead Space got that treatment. I mean, Kingdom Come Deliverance, I don't know enough about it, but I know that there's a fight over whether or not that is a friend or foe,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I did see some of the stuff around that. Alex Shepard says, the world is in desperate need of a Venture Brothers EFAP, hench for life.
Maybe someday.
Shaker Silver, Drinker mistook my last chat. I meant Han in the OT having a real pistol as blaster nullifies no bricks in Ander argument. Practical low tech can exist. Yeah, so we talk about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, are we talking about props here? So it's like, I know he used like a Mauser pistol, I guess, which has just been slightly modified as like the prop for Han Solo.
Well, yeah, and I understand people saying, like, if there's any gun that's very recognizable in Andor, like an AK-47, for example, people be like, whoa. And it's like, yeah, I get it. You would rather see it with different colors or different attachments, or maybe not even an AK as a base at all.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not like we've never seen this stuff in the Star Wars universe. It's just you didn't realize what you were looking at, maybe. That does, and that's the conventions of making a movie look more expensive than it actually is.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Your name is an adverb says Wilford Brimley protected Howard Hughes, repped Quaker Oats, and fought the diabetes. He did, and he did all of those things with absolute aplomb. Cameron Perry says, hello to the bar. Got my girlfriend pregnant with twins, and now she's my wife. An open bar has been there the whole time. Thanks for the entertainment this past year. Damn, man. You've had an eventful year. I like the implication that open bar is somehow responsible for all those things.
Hell yeah.
Well, that's the effect we have on people. But yeah, congratulations, man. Deza says, you do eat bacon and eggs with your hands, Mauler. I saw Beard Meets Food. I like Beard Meets Food, actually. It's a pretty
Yeah,
good
I know
channel.
that guy. He's kind of a magical creature. I don't know how he does it.
Yep. Yeah, there's him and like some girl called like, Girl Eats Kilos or something. I can't remember exactly what the channel is. But she's like really small and petite, but she could eat absurd amounts of food. Like, I just don't know. Some people are just wired up differently.
Like, not that you necessarily know the answer to this, but is it like because like their stomachs can't store it, so it's like, does it move quickly into their intestines or some shit? Like, how does this work?
I don't like. Some people just must have like more flexible stomachs that can hold more. I think that must be the only way.
Yeah, especially when it's like, oh, this enormous fucking truckload of food in half an hour. It's like, what?
Yeah. Beard Meats Food is crazy as well because like he never once looks stressed about it. He never looks like, oh God, I'm struggling here. He's just like wolfs it down, and then he's like, oh, I could go dessert now after eating
it's
fucking
crazy
5 pounds of burger or whatever. Yeah, I don't know how they do it, but it's impressive as fuck. Yeah,
good for them.
Anyway, yeah. Arcadium Ronan says, how do you poop and how do you wipe? Hail the 199. I mean,
conventionally,
yeah, we all do it the same way, I guess. You know what I think is making a comeback nowadays, and I'm all for it? Bidets.
yeah, I do. Everyone always talks highly of them. Getting that water splash in the bum.
It's quite the thrill
mm-hmm.
when you do it. I don't know. It's like they're having a moment now, right? Because they used to be seen as this like weird relic of like the 70s, and then for a long time nobody used them. But now, like you see the fucking things everywhere, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go use the bidet.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's it. The ultimate clean. I don't know, man. Pretty cool. Keith says, I finally caught you guys live. Thank you, Drinker and Mauler, for keeping me sane. From Wales, but I'm living in the US now. Hoping I'm going to catch you at a Comic-Con, Drinker. Cheers, lads. Thank you, man. And
cheers.
Hope you're acclimatizing well to the US.
Mm-hmm.
Yapping Tom says, hey guys, been watching for over 2 years now. Whatever happened to Invincible? Just finished season 3 and it's meh. Would love an EFAP on it.
Oh dear, meh.
It's just meh. I mean, just meh more.
I've said it has to have like a passionate recommendation from several people for me to start it up, but season 2 seemed to go over okay, and season 3 I've heard different things about. So
yeah,
not the kind of
Loved season 1. I thought it was great.
Did you watch season 2
yet? No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
I will get to it one day.
Mm-hmm.
Marek Zielinski says, eggs will always be shitty. Those come out from the same hole that a hen shits out. Egg prices will always be shitty no matter what you do. Wash your eggs. You understand how a chicken works, right? The eggs don't come out their arse. You understand this? Yeah. I mean, it is kind of weird when you think you're basically eating a chicken's period, but yeah, sure. Anyway, Chris says, Drinker, Cynic and Panel, what happens to Rachel Zegler after Snow White tanks? Does her career just die? Yes.
I think eventually, yeah.
I don't think many studios are going to want to hire her. It's going to be a Brie Larson kind of situation.
I'd say she's not ticking any of the boxes. She doesn't have performances that blow people away. She doesn't have a draw for the box office for the cultural, impact. And she's also kind of a loose cannon when it comes to interviews, and that's just not what people will be looking for.
Yeah, there's not really much to recommend her, I guess. So, yeah, I agree 100%. Marty Gray says, get Ryan a roast dinner with mint sauce or a Lorne sausage sarnie with egg and brown sauce. Oh, that sounds pretty good, actually. I could go one of them right now. Lorne sausage, is that a thing that you do in Wales? You ever heard of that?
What's it? Lorne sausage?
Yeah.
Like, can you spell that?
Lorne.
I have no idea what that is.
It's a you might have it as a square sausage there.
I might have had that, but I got nothing for you really.
It's a pretty good antidote if you're hungover. I'll say that much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like take pork sausage meat, I guess, and like make it into a patty instead of like a
Mhm.
link sausage, and then you fry it like that, so it's square shaped and it's roughly like a burger, but it's pretty good.
Okay.
And it's more like spicy and seasoned than a normal sausage, so it's quite a thing up here in Scotland. But
Cool.
yeah, we've got to get Ryan educated, man. Like, bring him over to the UK, take him out for a roast dinner or a full English, and he can experience like half decent food.
I don't feel. I'm assuming you're the same. I don't feel the need to defend British food ever. I'm just like, yeah.
I'll defend our breakfasts, right? Normally with our food, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty shit. But like breakfasts, I think are better here than they are in America.
Also, weirdly, you should defend our chocolate. It's like it kind of
We've
beats
done
out.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, our chocolate is way superior to American chocolate. That stuff's like fucking.
I almost feel bad for
candle
American
wax.
chocolate. Like they don't even eat chocolate. They eat like crayons. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, like if they come over here, they try it, like, it'll just like they'll never look back. It'll ruin their lives in some ways.
And their teeth.
Yeah.
Hey,
Paul Stramby says US Army runs on bacon. Bacon and potatoes were all we had for months in Iraq. I mean, yeah, if I'm a soldier on the front line, bacon and potatoes is not a bad way to start the day.
I was going to say that you go for a while on that actually, yeah. And water, obviously.
Yeah. Sure, yeah. Throw some eggs in there and I'd be a happy chappy.
Potatoes like a superfood.
It's pretty versatile, yeah.
Yeah.
Jimber Jamber says, Drinker, make sure you stock up on Jack. 60% tariffs on US whiskey incoming. Stay drunk and watch FMA Brotherhood. Full Metal Alchemist. I did start watching that, actually. Yeah,
they're saying this to you. He has a basement filled with Jack, okay? He's got a silo.
I've got a swimming pool. I just swim in it every day. Yes, Jack is super cheap over here right now. I think you can get it if you go to Asda or Tesco's, you'll get it for like £19 a bottle at the moment. So yeah, it's pretty fucking cheap. But yeah, I've moved on, right? I've moved on in life. I've got Woodford Reserve right there. You see, this was full when we started this stream. Anyway, next one is Canada Plus. Hail panel, I just had some wisdom teeth pulled today. It sucked, but not nearly as much as Invincible Season 3. Also, any advice on losing some weight? Well, if you get all your teeth pulled out, you won't be able to eat anything anymore. And, that problem kind of solves itself, I guess.
Look around for conventional diets, see which one matches your preferences. Always, trying to get good exercise semi-regularly.
Walking, I would say, is the biggest thing I could say to people. That and like don't eat at fucking McDonald's like every day. But
yeah, walking is like is for more than it's like everything, right? It's like good for you just in every way. It like boosts endurance generally. You're like your whole circulatory system benefits. I think it's good for mental health.
Yeah, especially if you can get yourself like out in the fresh air on a sunny day and like get around trees and grass and all that nice stuff. Like there's not too much bad there.
Smell the roses.
Yeah, exactly. Like that would be the biggest thing, and just walk as much as you possibly can each day, and try and cut down your food, and like the weight will start to come off, and just stick with it, man. Craig, the bad guy, says, which would you prefer? Another Indiana Jones with Prime Lucas, Spielberg, and Harrison Ford, or another Cornetto movie with Prime Edgar Wright? Oh.
Wait, was that Prime Indiana Jones versus Prime Cornetto? Was that the question?
Yeah.
That's mean, because I desperately would like both of those.
I think if I had to choose, I'd go for Prime Indiana Jones. Because the Cornetto trilogy is just nice by itself. And I feel like it doesn't necessarily need more, whereas I could have gone for more Indiana Jones.
Man, I think I would go with Indiana Jones, and the reason is, I know this sounds a little odd because they're comparable, the trilogies, but I feel like it's more of a gamble with the Cornetto trilogy, while Indiana Jones, I feel like if we got Prime, like it's guaranteed to be another banger.
Yeah. I'd agree.
So yeah, I think that's what I'd opt for. I also think I would opt for it, as silly as this sounds, for the world. I think it would... People would want that a lot more. and it would be cool, right? I'm thinking about Gary. Okay, he'd need it.
Yeah. Well, like the Cornetto trilogy hasn't been sullied either, whereas Indiana Jones
True.
has, and
Yeah.
this would like erase that and redeem it, so that would help as well. Dork Ritual says Daredevil Born Again is like beans on toast if the beans were a turd and the toast was also a turd. Okay, I like that metaphor. Mega Spidey Man, it's my 31st birthday this Sunday, so I wanted to ask everyone, and that's the day actually, so happy birthday. What are your least favorite films from the year that you were born? To the guests, what's your favorites? So the guests aren't here, but I guess we can answer from the year we were born. Let's see.
Was it your favorite? Sorry, best film from the year we were born?
No, least favorite.
Oh, least. That's interesting. I've not heard that question before.
God damn. So I'm looking at what came out in 83. Return of the Jedi. I've heard of that. I think it might be all right. Flashdance, Trading Places, War Games, Octopussy, Sudden Impact. Fucking hell. Staying Alive. Jesus. Risky Business. Okay. I don't know. I can't think of terrible films from 1983. Let's see. What have you got, Mulver? Because you were born in.
You know
93,
what?
so you got, like,
Kudos to the person who asked this question, because I think this proves a point that people haven't used as an avenue. We often say, like, look at the box office of any given year that's not in the latest 10, and it won't be filled with sequels. That's like a really easy comparison. But another thing is, like, what's your most hated movie of, let's say, in my case, is 93? It's like, I don't hate any of these movies.
No.
And it's like, why would I? It's like, yeah, because they're all, like, some of them I might not even consider that good, but I've got no issue with many of them at all.
Yep. Well, Jaws 3D actually was pretty shit. I'm not gonna lie.
Fucking, of course it would be a sequel.
Yeah.
That's the culprit, you know?
But yeah, like
the
apart
Mario
from that,
Bros
like,
movie came out in 93, but I find it amusing. Like,
that
you
was
know,
rough. That was
yeah,
really
that
fucking
would
rough.
probably be my pick, even though the aspect of it is just like, yeah, it's funny though.
I think Superman 3 came out in 83 as well. Yeah, it did. That's the one with the computer, isn't it? Like the mega computer that like tries to take over the world.
Brainiac?
Nah, I can't remember what it is, but it's like it's got Robert Vaughn in it as the baddie. And I remember it's got one of the most. I don't think it was even intended as like super horrific, but it's got this bit where like one of the baddies gets sucked into the computer and turned into like a fucking like killer bot thing. Like, and you get to this.
I've
this
seen that
sequence.
clip because I haven't seen the film.
You've not seen it?
No.
Oh, Jesus. Because Richard Pryor's in it as well, actually, like doing his comedy skit. But yeah, it's like actually terrifying. Like just watching all this fucking circuitry get grafted onto her body, and then like she opens her eyes and they're all like silvered. And then she turns into this like killer robot thing. And damn, it's pretty dark stuff for a Superman movie. Yeah, it totally terrified me as a kid.
Hey, looking through though, not bad year, 93. Got Falling Down is in here, funnily enough. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. True Romance. I assume you've seen that.
I have, yeah. I did a happy hour with Gary with it.
Quite enjoyed that movie. Tombstone, Schindler's List, Batman: Mask of the Phantasm. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's considered by a lot of people to be one of the best Batman movies.
Yep.
It's just less known because of the whole animated thing. Those horrible, horrible people not watching animated films. But obviously the one that takes the crown would be Jurassic Park.
Indeed, yeah. Yeah. Little could we know back then how many shitty movies it would spawn.
Demolition Man as well. And Hot Shots Part 2.
Oh, God. Classics.
Last Action Hero. Well, you know.
Yeah, not so much.
Yeah.
Dearest says, is Crystal Skull to Raiders a good comparison for Disney, Daredevil, and Netflix? Ooh, that's a good question, actually. Is it that bad? I don't think it's as bad as Crystal Skull.
Depends who you ask. If you ask Gary, he'd say no. If you ask Trickery, he'd be like, eh. If you ask me, I'd be like, it might be worse.
Jesus. Zeddy Boy says, Drinker, please review Novocaine. It's the most fun movie I've seen this year. Very violent and surprisingly heartfelt with a great female character. I've heard mixed things about this. So this is the dude who's in The Boys, isn't it? What is his
Jack
name?
Quaid.
Jack Quaid, that's the one, yeah. He's playing a weak man who gets beat up consistently. So, fucking play to your strengths, eh, Jack?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'll take a look. Jimmy Collins says, I'm one of the billions and billions not watching Daredevil Born Again. I don't think I'm missing much at all. I mean, fair enough. It's your choice.
I mean, the needle's not going to move based on whether or not we compel everyone to either watch it or stay not watching it. But, I'm still blown away by its viewing figures.
That is genuinely shocking. Yeah, it's amazing that this has happened. Jim says, quite a step down from I beat you and everything behind that to didn't your daughter shoot you? Lol. The whole thing looks and feels wrong. They had a lot of shit that they had to climb over in order to progress with this, didn't they?
Okay, but they still could have done a lot better than they did. That first episode is apparently all redo stuff. That's all the good team, quote unquote.
Wow.
I mean, just saying.
Intent Matters says, my favorite Karen scene was in season 3 when she admitted to killing Wesley to Kingpin in the hopes that he tries to kill her and the cops get it on camera. Now you're telling me that she's living it up in San Francisco, not caring about Kingpin being a mayor. I think we talked about this on the night, actually. That super chat looks familiar.
It's disrespectful to the Netflix show for the characters. Karen's abandoned Matt. There's no way that this would be happening. And she doesn't seem to care that Kingpin is the mayor.
Yeah.
She, unironically, what that point that super chat's making is that she was at the point of kind of hoping Kingpin would kill her on camera so that he would never be able to escape into anything official ever again.
Yeah.
I guess everything changed over that year that we didn't see.
That was a crazy year, Mauler.
Yeah.
Would have been nice to see it on screen. Nick Tomato says, Rachel Zegler is a born billionaire. Her daddy brought her into Hollywood.
I thought she was on YouTube or whatever at some point.
Yeah, I thought that's how she was discovered, and then that's how Spielberg cast her for West Side Story. I don't know, could be wrong. Cannon Falderall says, Drinker, 1934 was when the Production Code Administration took over the Hays Code. After July 1st, movies couldn't be released without the PCA seal. Those rules dominated the US filmmaking industry for decades. Cheers. Yeah, so I knew about the Hays Code. I didn't know that it was replaced by a different code after that. So, yeah, okay, that's an interesting one. Just really limited what you could show on screen. No nudity, Mauler, and no indecency. Boo, we want boobs.
Boo.
Max Millerick says, is the CCTV in Drinker's room that purple TV woman from the shit show Skibbity Toilet? Also, Drinker, you should try Warika Honey Highland Lass, a New Zealand's honey whiskey. Ugh, honey whiskey, Jesus. No, please no. Yeah. As for the CCTV, well, my government watches me all the time to make sure I'm not committing a thought crime. Shaker Silver says, aside from Alien 3, another example to compare Born Again to for poor setup that contrives characters where the writers want them to be, Force Awakens. Well, yeah, but that's such a gap, though, that one. And a lot of the characters are just, they're different people by that point.
I mean, I guess what they're trying to say is the writers decided they wanted to push everybody in particular directions with the TFA, and Daredevil, we had what? It's a 7-year gap since season 3. And what's funny is nothing seems to have changed in that 7 years. It's the 1 year after where everything falls the fuck apart that they had control over.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying,
Normal Man says, fat people have a sound. Ryan Kinnell, 2025. They do, though. It's all that flesh that the sound waves have to pass through. Nick the Greek says, the call of the fatties. Tip, tip, tipples. Yeah. Altino says, for Drinker, in your video about Mickey 17, you were criticizing it for not being so subtle about the Trump references. I don't see the problem. I mean, it's so fucking lazy, man. It's just when you got Mark Ruffalo doing the worst Trump impression that you've probably ever seen on screen, it's just so fucking predictable, and that's not satire. That's just straight up parody, and not particularly good parody. It's like the kind of thing you'd see on Saturday Night Live if they were having an off week. It's not what you'd expect from like a $200 million movie. The Orc says, "Thank you, Drinker. The other day I finished work, got home, saw another vid from you, and the first clip is from the studio I just left for the day. Mission Impossible 7 vid. Or sorry, is it MI7? Or is it Mickey 17 vid?
Probably that.
Probably Mickey 17, yeah. Well, I'm sorry you were part of that movie because it fucking sucks, man. Just have you seen it, Muller?
No.
I just don't. Save your time. Gary Noon says Vincent D'Onofrio. Ooh. Clue Studio says I left Disney Plus after Gay Buzz Lightyear. That's fair play. That's fair play. Blind Boy Gaming. As a blind man, I condone these blind jokes at blind people's expense. When I figure out which way the door is, I'm going to attempt to write a letter of condemnation. Oh yeah, we did that on the night. Defending Truth. We're assuming the previous numbers Disney put out were legitimate. They've been caught fudging numbers for years. Once a liar, always a liar. Yes, so I'm not exactly confident in them, but
it
like
was the same source, though, right?
Yes,
for both numbers.
And you assume if they're going to fudge the numbers upwards, like, does that mean the Daredevil numbers are even worse than what they've reported?
Oh God,
maybe.
Let's hope not.
Yeah. Is it possible Disney didn't engage the click farm marketing for the show that got fixed to discourage the talent from fighting the writers and producers? That would be interesting, actually. They actually want it to fail. Cannon Folderall, also 1944 or 34. The Black Cat from the Pope story with Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi. The Man Who Knew Too Much from Alfred Hitchcock. Yes, nice. And The Thin Man from Dashiell Hammett novel. Cheers. Good stuff. Eurodoc. Drinker, on Last Orders, you wondered if Disney Plus will release Daredevil episodes in chunks. Interesting choice of words, since you often mention Disney Plus shitting out content. There you go. Matthew Wood. Daredevil Born Again is clearly missing Stephen DeKnight's writing, even with Cox and D'Onofrio back. It's like having a team with Shaq and Kobe, but it won't work the same if you don't have Phil Jackson coaching them. Haha. Yeah. A basketball reference. I don't get it.
Talk about making like legacy sequels and stuff, and then they don't have any interest in bringing the people who wrote it. It's like, okay, so it's not the same thing then, is it?
Yeah.
With the Buffy reboot, they're like, we got Sarah Michelle Gellar. It's like, do you have anybody who wrote Buffy and Angel? No. It's like,
yeah.
All right, then.
But Sarah's there.
Yeah, Sarah's there.
Jay Fraser says, "Hail, gents. Of the 3 Punisher films, which is the best?" I think Punisher Warzone is generally considered the best, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. People like Tom Jane's Punisher, but they're not too fond of the movie, from what I remember, like, generally.
Yeah. What's the next one? Matt says, I've got a feeling most everyone will find the show terrible by the end, if not months from now. Also, non-Catholic Daredevil is already a deal breaker. I mean, I can understand that. Yeah, it's I don't know, man. I feel like maybe the enthusiasm and the goodwill towards this show is slowly draining away week by week.
Well, I mean, they're in trouble, right? If episodes 7, 8, and 9 are great, and I mean 11 out of 10s, do you think it'll matter?
Not really. No.
Not really.
Reno the Turk says, it's because the jury's verdict was man's laughter, not manslaughter. Wait, runs to mirror. Oh, fuck, I think I'm turning into rags. There you go. Normal man. To be fair, the show takes place, excuse me, in New York, where the law is more like a suggestion, and the judges know as much about the law as about the ability to breathe through their noses. Yeah, I remember that from the night.
And it's like Ryan said, I could have gotten behind it somewhat if they had bent or broken rules in a particular consistent way, but they break it one way and then break it the other way. It's like, for fuck's sake, guys, just to try and create like a tension, a push and pull. It's pathetic.
Yep. Carnal says, where do you all think Matt Murdock's cameo appearance in No Way Home fits into the timeline between Born Again first episode and the time jump? I get annoyed that the passage of time is often disregarded. Well, I'll get used to it. It's fucking Marvel, man.
I think we're supposed to think it's before the first episode of Born Again. I think.
Right. MF Legend says, Drinkstar, yours and panel's thoughts on some of Jossie's lesser-known work, especially you, Mauler. Dr. Horrible, Dollhouse, Buffy Season 2 is the best, by the way.
Really? You think Buffy Season 2 is the best?
Apparently he does.
I mean, I appreciate it, but it is full of cringe. That's okay. You know what? It's okay. I just would have thought you'd prefer it over... I mean, you didn't mention Angel, but yeah. So Angel's probably my favorite completed work of his. Dollhouse, I like. Do you know anything about Dollhouse?
I know fuck all about Dollhouse, I'm afraid.
Premise is like, as an alternative to going to jail, you can submit your body to be, in a way, like altered carbon. It can be like your personality will be saved on a disc, and then other things can be put into it, and you can be used for different jobs that are needed, for whatever reason, and that'll be how you pay your debt to society, sort of thing. And it's about they're all girls. They're all like designed for very specific missions that involve sex-related stuff, but also secret agent-y related stuff, kind of like Alias.
Ah, classic Joss Whedon. Eh?
Oh yeah,
the man had a preference, that's for sure.
Didn't really hit me that much. The show, I enjoyed it, but not enough that I would really fully recommend it. Not the same way I do other stuff. Then there's something like, I didn't really watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I know he was like an executive producer, I think. I quite like the Nevers of what I saw. That was the last project he made before he was gone forever. So there's that. Dr. Horrible is very fun, but there's still bits and pieces of his stuff I haven't seen yet. I just obviously fully recommend Buffy and Angel and Firefly.
Indeed, yeah, we could definitely both recommend that. Massey says, have you seen the Batman State Farm ad? Everyone's raving about how comic book accurate it is and better than DCU. It fucking is as well. It's uncanny. The guy they got for Joker in that is superb. Have you seen it?
Oh, the what's it called? It's like a...
It's just
is it like an insurance company or something?
Yeah, but like they got a bunch of people dressed up as DC characters, and like they just nailed it with the casting. It's superb.
I think what's so funny about it, and it hit people in such a specific way, it's like, well, because they've gone with the most conventionally understood looks for all of them from the comics.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would you do that? Like and it's like, well, it worked. People loved it. And it's like, oh, that's crazy. It's so funny to me that we've spent so many times with all these different iterations and adaptations trying to find, like, we have to modernize it or we have to adapt it to a different format. We have to do this. We have to do that. And it's just like, could just do it the way that it is. I don't know.
Yeah. Just do it the way that like it's worked for the past like half century. Yeah, maybe might work.
But yeah, we're at a point where it's like more so than just that Joker, who the people are spreading around that particular screenshot looks real good. Like there's like a screen of him particularly looking pretty menacing. Yeah. But you got that. You're also like, well, the Riddler looks pretty cool, and Two-Face actually looks pretty cool. And you're like, even Catwoman's like Poison Ivy. You're like, what the fuck's going on? Like, got so many right.
Yeah, the makeup on Two-Face is fantastic on that.
I paused it a few times to check it out because I was like, that was pretty good. Good for them.
Yeah, nice.
No, go make a movie.
Here's the real question. The Lone Canuck asks, do you think we'll see Fat Geralt punch a little trans kid in the live action Last of Us? I want to see Fat Geralt appear.
It'd be great.
It's that punch man when he hits the garage door. It's just superb.
It's funny as fuck, yeah.
Deza says, anyone notice that Drinker pronounces it as sandwich? I do not. It's sandwich. Like with a D.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it's meant to be said, okay? That's the way I say it.
I will accept sandwich.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. Zach Forbes says, late to this conversation, but this show has made me miss the 2008 Punisher when the NYPD was secretly helping Frank evade the FBI. Never going to get that again. Now he hates when people agree with him. Sure. I mean, I think he's not going to like dirty cops who just like prey on the innocent. So I guess that's the angle they're going for with this. He's gonna come after them.
Let's just wait and see on the Frank stuff. I'm worried, but who knows?
Reno the Turk says, Last of Us 2, meatless in Seattle. Ooh, yeah. No bigot sandwiches there. Box Office Brawler says, hey, Drinker, glad you got BCL back on the show. Blue Collar Loser, yeah. He's a good guy. How do I become a member on here? Angel Studios, rising success is an unanswered prayer. Yeah, they're doing well. Yeah, I think their numbers have gone way up, so their model obviously works for them. And yeah, for becoming a member, I don't know. Why does nobody seem to understand how to do this? Like, there's a membership button on the main channel. Just click that, and it allows you to join as a channel member. And then you get access to stuff that's nice.
Yeah.
What's the next one? Massey says Spider-Man 4 Redhead new casting has people split. Some saying this is Jean Grey, some saying it's the new world, sorry, the other world Mary Jane. What do you think it is, and what's the story going to look like? No fucking idea.
I mean, she can just be Mary Jane because Zendaya played Michelle Jones. That was her
Yes.
MJ. So
Yeah.
Mary Jane hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, so why can't it just be her?
Yeah.
Emperor Creatine says, I still can't believe they made Snow White look like Lord Farquaad. How the hell did they not catch that before release? Can Disney die already? I mean, they're working on it right now. So, Beardo's Dorito-shaped body says, hail, idiots. Hail to you, too. We can be retarded together. G. Malkin, have you heard of Conman steering Alan Tudyk as, I guess you say starring, Alan Tudyk as a guy from a cancelled sci-fi show trying to restart his career? It's got all the Whedon people in it. Have you heard
I've
of that,
never heard of
Lord? Conman? No.
Don't
I have
know.
not. Sorry. Emperor Creatine also says, remember how JJ and other people on his team, when writing Force Awakens, took ideas from Red Letter Media? I will never forgive Mike for this. Is that actually true? Did they do that?
Do what? Sorry.
Took ideas from Red Letter Media when they were writing Force Awakens.
Oh, I mean, there's no reason to assume that that's necessarily true. I think they'd probably be embarrassed to think that that was the case. But at the same time, it's interesting. They were heavily influential videos online, and some of the primary problems they said that has to be fixed if you make sequels is you have to remove the politics, which they did, and it was a catastrophe because it destroyed the entirety of the world building. And they said you have to get someone like a J.J. Abrams to fix the pacing of the whole thing, which they did, and people were like, "Yay, the pacing is sort of," but it's like it's J.J. Abrams. There's no substance. That's how he does it. And they have since said like they were regrettable statements because Star Wars is in a worse place now than it ever was.
Very true. Well, there you go. They're the reason all of this happened. Jay Fraser says 6 writers were hired for Star Wars Underworld. Among them were Chris Chibnall and Ronald D. Moore. Russell T. Davis was offered but turned it down to do his own projects. Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't gay enough for him, so that's probably why he passed on it. Spencer Cummins says, I've never been so desperate in my life for something to end than when I was watching Info TFA. I rode to the theater with a friend. Info TFA? It's just Force Awakens.
Yeah, I assume so.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, not exactly a thrill ride. Jacob Wolf says, Brad Bird was originally offered Star Wars Episode 7. Do you think he would have done better?
Yes.
There you go, then. Joey Bag of Donuts says, Mike tried not to apologize for that until Rich called him out. Mike, you don't know that. Might be one of the best Red Letter Media quotes ever.
I think the way I remember is he starts trying to apologize, and they're both confused. That he explains that he's apologizing because it doesn't want it to be his fault that this is happening. It's like,
it's on you, Mike. You can never dodge it. Spencer says, my last comment was incorrect. While TFA was incoherent, The Last Jedi was the worst. It felt like a 6-hour lecture on hypothetical math given by a robot. It didn't even feel like that. It felt like just someone who fucking hated the franchise and was just out to destroy it. It was just pure spite in movie form.
Yeah, a little bit. But I stand by. You can pick any of the 3 sequels, and you can make a really compelling argument for why each one is the worst one.
Yep. I think that's
how
fair.
bad it is.
Brandon Lee Janicki says, interested to hear the panel's thoughts about Mickey 17. I've always thought that Bong Joon-ho was overrated, and I'm so happy this movie came out to prove it. Unfocused script with unnecessary characters. Yep, 100%. Whole bunch of shit that's crammed into this one that goes absolutely nowhere. There's a love triangle that goes nowhere. There's a 30-minute like prelude to the actual movie that takes forever and it's tedious as fuck. It doesn't seem to know what to do with most of its characters. The political allegory is so on the nose that it practically punches you in the fucking face with it. And yeah, this guy, I think he works better when he's not dealing with like Western culture. I think he's much more at home in like Korea, where he's doing things like Parasite. When he has to deal with like Western culture over here, especially American culture, it's just so fucking clunky and on the nose and obvious, and it's not good. So that movie fucking sucked and wasted a pretty good cast and Mark Ruffalo. So yeah. Andrew Fay says, great panel tonight. Hollywood overlooks B movies' value. Once for every great film, 10 low-budget gems are thrived. Will YouTube replace them as Hollywood chases blockbusters? Maybe. I think there's an opening for lower-budget movies to make a bit of a killing. But as long as there's the talent behind it, then you can get something good happening there. Jacob Wolf says, how did Mickey 17 cost double what the creator cost? Yeah, that's a good question, actually. Probably the stars that they had attached to it. You know, bigger names, they cost more. Jeffrey says, the Reacher books that they've adapted for all 3 seasons are ones with plots that are personal for Reacher. They never did the one-off wanders into town and solves local problem template, not even for season 1. They did in the sense that he is in small town America, but like, yeah, he's tracking someone who murdered his brother, I think, in season 1. So there's that personal connection there. I think the reality is those plots are not very fucking interesting. That's the reality. There's no real personal stakes for him. So it's just like he's there, he's going to fix some local problem just because he feels like it. It's not great basis for drama, really, is it? So I can see why they've missed them out. What's the next one? Ice Pole says... no, we did that one, actually. Andrew Fay says, drinker need a soiled... What? I think you mean solid. Can you wish the audience a happy 0313? Thank you. Cheers. Well, happy 313, everyone.
All right.
Even though it isn't anymore. Ice Pole says, well, you didn't read mine. And that was the super chats. Yeah, so we talked about a lot on the night. So you were talking about me missing out some super chats. As you're probably finding out here, we always catch up with them on, you know, last orders. That's just the way it works. We can't get through everything on the night, so we have to kind of pick and choose.
It is worth reminding everybody every once in a while, because there are a bunch of people in a new cycle in. Like, it's the same with EFAB. They'll be like, do they ever look at chat? It's like, yes. It's just not right now.
Yeah, for sure. So the general format with Open Bar is like we're all talking amongst the guests and the panel and stuff. If you know, we'll try and sprinkle in some super chats as we go, especially if like some big one comes in and like someone drops $100 super chat. It's like, well, they've made a huge investment there, so we'll try and answer that fairly quickly. But at the end, you know, maybe the last half hour, like hour or so, we'll just work through the super chats from start to finish as much as we can, and any ones that we can't get through on the night, we'll then catch up with them later. So that's the best way we can do it and still keep things flowing as much as possible. So it's not perfect, but it never is. And Jay Fraser says, thoughts on Scorsese casting The Rock in his film?
Which film are we talking about?
I have no fucking idea. Hold on. Okay, so Dwayne Johnson confirms role in Scorsese's next crime film. This is just 2 days ago, actually. So what is it? Yeah, so it's untitled at the moment. It's set in 1970s Hawaii. It's going to star Dwayne Johnson, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Emily Blunt. I'm actually shocked that Robert De Niro is not in it.
And it's amusing that he's casting The Rock, but hey, yeah,
so
let's see, I guess.
He's
Do you
going
think
to be
do you think he
playing
asked
a
him?
Hawaiian mob boss.
Do you think he asked him? He was like, "I need more cred. Can you please cast me in a movie you're making?"
I would have thought so, yeah.
It's gotta
I
be
can't
right.
imagine. I can't imagine someone like Scorsese saying, like, "All right, we've got a Hawaiian mob boss here. You know who we need? The fucking Rock in my movie."
I like the idea they had a meeting and they're just talking about movies or whatever. Then he's like, "So have you ever thought about casting me in one of your movies?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah,
Yeah, I
of
guess.
course, like, yeah, maybe."
I can't remember if I asked this one on the night, but here it is. This is from Johnny Walker. It says, Mauler, you absolute long man. It's taken me from August last year to catch up on EFAP. Definitely changed my perspective on movies. All hail to the long man and crew.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. I can't remember if that was right now, but hey, it's always nice to hear, and that you've been entertained by the whole lot. And that takes, I think we had a look, it was like 131 days. The count is right now. If you want to go through the whole thing,
That is the epic adventure to end all adventures.
fuck
There you go.
yeah.
It's all there waiting for you. But that was the final super chat of the night. So I want to say thank you, everyone, for sending us so many and being so super generous as you always are. And it's been a pleasure going through them with you. But I guess that is all we've got for today. So go away now.
Thanks everybody. Bye bye.